Hey everyone, I think I'm streaming. If someone put it in the chat, just let me know if you can hear everything okay. That'd be really helpful. And I'm going to start the Instagram. Okay, Instagram is rolling too. If you guys want to let me know which platform works best for you, that'd be really helpful in the future. But thank you for coming. I'm so glad to see everyone. And I'm just going to let everybody else kind of trickle in over the next couple of minutes. Instagram, is the audio okay? I don't know if I think I have comments on it. I'm not sure. Someone text me if the audio is not okay. Yes, good. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I think someone's trying to tell me something. I just can't read it. Oh. Yeah, that's Sam. Ready? All right, when I'm back here, I won't be able to read the comments section. So if the audio is not working or something, just shoot me a text. I think I should be able to get that. Or just like blow up the comments and I'll notice that something is amiss. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. So the IG live, I think I only have an hour, and I anticipate being done within that hour. But if it times out for some reason, then I'll just jump back into it. So any of you who are on Instagram, just hang in there. If it times out, the YouTube should keep going. That's what I'm told. let's see, so far we've got about a similar number of people on Instagram and YouTube. I think YouTube's going to end up being a little bit easier for saving the videos to have for later. I've had a few requests to save these things to have for people who can't attend the lives. All right. So I think I'm just going to start the introduction. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Nikki Lensman. I'm an anesthesiologist at Friendship Hospital. And I finished my yoga teacher training right before COVID started, and didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do with it. Teaching virtually was not really on my radar of how I would use that certification. And I was always drawn towards teaching trauma-informed yoga. It's, as you'll see, a little bit different, some just different ways of practicing. And I think in particular for our veterinary community, I think it can be really helpful. So thank you for coming. The technology is all very new to me. I had to Google on how to do most of these things, so please bear with me. And if anybody has an expert at any of these things and has tips or tricks or anything like that, please let me know. Also, I welcome any feedback about the video, the audio, as well as myself, the cueing, the practice, anything like that. So I am on AirPods for the IG, and I have a microphone for YouTube. So I'm interested about the quality difference between those two. So thank you everybody for attending. In addition to feedback about the quality and everything, like if this time is something that works for everyone, or if there's a time that would work better, I can see if that fits in my work schedule. So I think we are at a maximum of what we're going to reach. It's 8:31, so we'll try to stay on time as much as we can. And to all arrive fully, let's just all take 3 breaths together in your own time. Okay. So roadmap of our practice, I plan on this taking about 50 minutes. I'm going to guess I'm going to talk a little bit faster than usual, which is usually at a pretty good clip anyway, because I'm by myself in a room talking to just the dog who's behind me. So I'm planning for about 50 minutes. We'll start with a centering practice. We'll start seated. And then we're going to move into some seated and then some standing shapes. Then we'll move back into some seated shapes, ending with a body scan and a final resting time. At any point in time, if anything we're doing doesn't feel good to you, I ask you to just explore something else. Find a position, a shape, a breathing technique, something that works better for you in the moment. Along those lines, you may want some things to make your practice more comfortable for you or more accessible for you. If you have some yoga props like a bolster or blocks at home, that's fantastic. If not, couch cushions work really, really well to provide some support during some of these forms. Rolled up towels, rolled up blankets, anything that and sometimes like a weird shaped pillow, I'm going to steal from the dog, like this might be really helpful. He didn't like that. Might be helpful for support in different shapes and postures. In addition to things that may help support you through your practice, I welcome you to take this time right now to set your room temperature to what's comfortable for you. You may want a blanket for the end of the practice as our body temperature comes down, as we find more relaxation, or like another layer of clothing, something like that. I won't be using a music playlist. It's hard to do across all these platforms. And so if you are more comfortable practicing with some sort of music, I invite you to take this time to put that on right now. You might want some water. It might be helpful for you. I'm going to give you just a moment to get those things together, make your space comfortable for you. And in that time, I want to acknowledge that I won't be using the Sanskrit descriptions of the shapes, and that's an intention that we use in trauma-informed or trauma-sensitive yoga. That doesn't mean that I don't honor and respect the roots of yoga, and I do intend to honor the years and the miles and the lifetimes that yoga philosophy took to get to us, to be with us in this moment. Again, technical issues, I don't know what's going to come up, but also I'm coming to you from the city, and I live in an old building. I have neighbors. I will try to name things as they come up if there are sirens. There was a concert next door because we're having like rooftop and porch concerts going on. I think they're done, but they may kick back up. But I'll try to name those things as they come up, but you just might hear noises from my space. In addition to, he's camouflaged right now, but my dog is right behind me, and he might like rise up from the couch and decide to stretch and go away. Just like you guys might find, and I'm sure you have found, your animals oftentimes are really interested in what we're doing when we're doing something different, and the different energy that comes from yoga practice. So let's take a moment to orient ourselves to our space. Let's look at the floors, the ceilings, all four walls around us. Take it in and settle into the space that we're going to use for the next little bit of time to practice in. What are the sounds that we find? What are the smells? What are the touches? How does maybe one type of flooring differ from the other? You may find it helpful to find something that's visually or textilely appealing to you to use as an anchor. Sometimes practice can be a little bit too much for us, and it's good to have something to come back to that's comforting. I oftentimes use this yoga blanket that I'm sitting on. I like the texture, I like the color. So for our grounding practice, I'm going to read a beautiful grounding practice from Brendan Abram, one of the kind of foundational teachers in trauma-informed yoga. Notice the presence of other like-minded people in the room. Know that, like you, they're looking for peace of mind in present moment experience. Be willing to silently extend support to them. Be willing to accept the support they extend to you. Feel supported by your community. Begin to draw your awareness in. Start by noticing sounds outside the room. Then become aware of sounds within the room. Notice any sounds that are happening within, such as your breath or heartbeat. If it seems helpful, open your eyes and become aware of the space you are occupying at this moment in time. Feel grounded. Feel connected to the support and safety that this space has to offer. Now begin to notice your breath. Consider that the breath you are taking now can only happen at this moment in time. When you are aware of breath, you are centered in the present moment. Notice each and every aspect of breath. The cool, swirling sensation at the nostrils as it enters your body on the inhalation. The rise of chest and abdomen as you draw it deeper. Notice a sense of gentle tension at the top of inhalation. Notice the sense of release that comes with each exhalation. Feel chest and abdomen let go of effort. Notice what is present when effort is gone. Notice the stillness in the space between the breaths, where the inhalation turns to become the exhalation, and where the exhalation turns to become the inhalation. Notice the sound of your breath. Notice its flow. Notice its rhythm. Remember, it is perfectly normal for your awareness to move away from your breath. This is a natural part of the process that happens to everyone many times during the course of their practice. When you notice you are no longer paying attention to breath as best you can, return your awareness to any aspect of breath that is the most noticeable. Do this as often as you need to, without judging your experience as good or bad. As best you can, accept it as it is. When you're ready, move your awareness from your breath to your physical body. You can start anywhere you choose. Scan your body and notice any sensation. It could be warmth or coolness, lightness or heaviness, tension or relaxation. Move through the entire body and notice places where you're experiencing sensation and places where there is no sensation. Either experience is valid. Now return your awareness to those places where you are feeling tension. Notice its nature. Is it subtle or strong? Is it steady or changing? See if you can watch the sensation without feeling compelled to change it. When you're ready, I invite you to begin to rub the palms of your hands together. Start to build a little bit of heat, some warmth. We'll soon be moving into our physical practice where we'll develop some warmth in our body. We'll start with our hands. And next, place your hands somewhere on your body that feels comfortable to you, on your head, your belly, on your chest, or just back together. I invite you to take 3 breaths. In your own time, as you're ready, begin to roll forward, placing both palms on your mat or on the ground. Rise up to something like a tabletop position. Your knees and your shins will be in contact with the ground. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. The tops of your feet may be flat on the ground, or you may prefer to keep your toes tucked, whatever's more comfortable for you. Your gaze may feel most comfortable straight down, gazing at the ground, or it may feel more comfortable for you gazing slightly forward. Maybe experiment with these two. See what feels most natural to you. And just as we watched our breath before, watch how your breath has changed in this new shape. On your next inhale, begin to drop your belly to the ground. Raise your chest to open your heart space. Raise your gaze to look at the ceiling. As you exhale, tuck your tailbone. Pull the belly to the spine. Drop your gaze to maybe look towards your navel. Drop the neck all the way down. In your own time, roll between these two shapes. Belly low, heart open, gaze to the ceiling. Belly up, tailbone tucked, navel to spine. Invite you to see what feels better, to move through these movements faster, or does it feel better to take your time? How does it feel to change the rhythm of your motion? We'll bring an end to this cycle of motions. We'll be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Returning to that tabletop position, neutral spine, neutral neck. You may find it easy to sway side to side, work out some tension in a different plane than we were just working in. As you come back to the middle, back to your neutral, raise your right hand up to the ceiling, maybe following your gaze. Exhale, tuck the right arm behind the left, bringing the right shoulder all the way down to your mat to thread the needle. Bring your shoulder down to touch. It may feel good to rest your right cheek on your mat. This shape has stretch, and this shape has constriction. Can you breathe into both sides of your ribs in this spot? When you're ready, with an inhale, unwind, bringing that right arm and your gaze all the way back up to the ceiling and placing your right hand back on the mat. Repeating that on the other side. Left arm up to the ceiling. Follow it with your gaze. Exhale, go behind the right arm. Bring the left shoulder all the way to the mat. Bring the left cheek to rest. Does this side feel any different from the other? Can you feel on this side too, both the constriction and the openness? Can you hold both things at once? When you're ready, unthread the needle, opening up your heart space to the ceiling. And exhale, coming back to your neutral tabletop position. This will be our last motion in this shape. Again, if you need any space to wiggle things out, please take that time. From neutral, bring your right arm forward. Finding how your weight sits differently when there's only 3 limbs supporting it. Does that change the way your breath moves through your body? On an exhale, bring the right arm back to the mat. Inhale, bring a left arm forward. How does this feel different? Exhale, bringing that left palm back to the mat. On the next repetition, you may choose to extend the opposite limb, right arm, and your left leg. Even lifting just your left toes off the ground. You may bring the heel up level to your pelvis. How does it feel if you're balancing on these 2 limbs? Exhale, coming back to neutral. And inhale, bring the left arm forward and maybe the right leg back. Pressing the heel back as if there was a wall right behind you. And take 3 more repetitions on each side at your own pace. When you've gone through those motions, I invite you to find a resting space. One that I might invite you to try is just to push back to bring your hips over your heels. It may feel comfortable to find more space between your knees to fit your body. If you want to lengthen your arms forward, let your head hang in between the two. Sometimes it's nice to bring your arms to your side and rest one or the other cheek on the mat. Find some rest here. Practice bringing your attention back to your breath if it wanders away. As you're ready, roll yourself through any way that's comfortable and come to find yourself standing at the top of your mat. Find yourself with your feet maybe hips width apart, maybe a little wider, whatever's most comfortable to you. Find space between the base of your spine, the base of your skull. May feel good to roll your shoulders up, back, and down. And some days it feels good to do that a couple of times. As you inhale, raise your arms over your head. Exhale, bend to your right, finding space in your left side waist. And you may find constriction in your right. Inhale, arms straight up overhead. Exhale to the left. Inhale and exhale. Begin to take this motion in your own time, to your own pattern of breath. It may feel good to grasp one wrist with the other hand and extend the stretch. It may just feel good enough to have that little bit of opening. When you're ready, you can bring your hands back to your side, work those shoulders out. In our next set of motions, we'll be breaking down the inhale into 3 parts. Each part of the inhale will have a motion. Then the exhale will be a release. Let it all go. First, inhale, arms forward. Just a little sip of air. Inhale a little bit more. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, drop the hands to the side. Inhale, inhale, inhale should be at the top of your breath. Exhale. You may start to develop a little bit of warmth in your muscles. You may start to Find a little bit more action in the release, a little bob in your knees. Find a swing, find a sway. Start to just control that inhale a little bit. Really let go on the exhale. You're in your own houses, probably with your own friends and family. If you want to make a big lion's breath exhale, I invite you to do that. If that's not what feels right now, do what feels right. We'll be here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Find an end to that motion. Find yourself at the top of your mat, back to that comfortable and strong standing position. You may find you want to reset those shoulders. You may want to wiggle out your legs. On an inhale, step your right leg back to the back of your mat. Bring your foot parallel to the back of the mat. The inner arch of your right foot should be at about the level of your left heel. Begin to bring some more weight into your left leg towards the front of the mat. Bring your arms up parallel. Your hips should be open to the long side of your mat, as well as your shoulders. Your gaze will come over the middle of your middle finger. Find a few breaths here. Sometimes it's helpful to look back at that right fingertips. They should be about the same level as your left, parallel to the ground. On an inhale, raise the left arm to the ceiling, gaze following it up. Drop your right hand down your upper thigh. See how your breath moves in that long side waist now. Exhale. And inhale, bringing that forward arm back to the ceiling. Exhale, coming back to parallel. Inhale. Exhale, step to the front of the mat. Reset. Do the same thing on the other side. Step the left foot back, parallel to the short side of the mat. Hips are going to be parallel to the long side of the mat, as well as your shoulders. Arms parallel to the ground. Gaze over the middle finger of the right arm. A few seconds here, sorry. Settle your weight into that bend of the front knee, reaching towards 90 degrees. Inhale, drop the left hand down the upper leg. Bring the right arm to the ceiling. Exhale, back to parallel. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. One more round here. Inhale. And exhale. And on your next exhale, step to the front of the mat. Shake it all out. We're going to revisit that second pose of that series and pair it with another. So just like we did before, step the right foot back. We're going to keep the same foot pattern that we did before. Right foot is at the back of the mat, parallel to the short side. Left foot is pointing straight forward. Inhale, drop that back hand down your right thigh. Sink into the left knee. Raise your arm to the ceiling along with your gaze. And this time on your exhale, bring your left elbow just above your left knee. With your right arm, trace the horizon just until your arm is parallel or almost touching your ear. Here we're finding length in the other side waist. We'll stay here for a few breaths. Gaze up along those fingers if you can. Rise back up. Bringing that left arm up to the ceiling and extending the other side waist. One more round here. Coming back to brace on the top of the thigh. Trace the horizon. Bring the arm close to the ear. And gazing up towards the ceiling of your fingers. See if you can push that breath into that long side waist. And exhale, come back up. Left arm to the ceiling. And step back towards the front of your mat. We'll repeat that on the other side. Left foot back to be parallel to the short side of the mat. Our hips and our shoulders are oriented to the long side. Generous bend in our front knee, bearing most of the weight. Strong back leg. Inhale, right arm towards the ceiling. Exhale, elbow just above the knee. Trace the horizon. And find that extension in your left side. See how your breath moves here. On your next inhale, reverse that. And moving back to find the openness in the other side. When you're ready, come back up. And let's meet at the top of the mat. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, hinge at the waist. Bend yourself in two. You can brace your hands on your thighs, on your shins. If your tops of your feet or your toes are accessible to you, that's great. Give yourself a nice stretch, just to the extent that's comfortable for you right now. No need to push any further. It may feel good to let your arms dangle. It may feel good to grab opposite elbows. Let that weight give you some nice traction. Inhale, just lift halfway, just straighten the back. And then exhale, and in any way that's comfortable for you, find yourself all the way back down on the ground, either resting on your belly or in that resting posture that we talked about before where we have our hips over our heels, our body resting on the tops of our thighs, and hands either stretch forward or arms coming down our side body. Rest here for a short while. If you're resting on one cheek, it may feel better to turn your head and rest on the other. Give your neck equal rest on either side. When you're ready, you can rock forward. Bring your shoulders, lost an AirPod. Rise up to bring your shoulders in line with your elbows, in line with your wrists. Now move into like a high plank position. You may find it helpful, I often do, to use my knees to find support in this position. Or you can raise your knees off the ground and your palms and your toes will be the only things touching the ground. We're going to be here for about 2 minutes, not entirely in this high plank position. I encourage you to give yourself some time to work and some time to rest. It's up to you how long you spend in the high plank and how long you spend resting in between, just going back down to belly on the ground or that easy resting pose we were just in. As you work in the high plank position, you may think about, to support yourself, bringing your navel to your spine, activating your quads, the muscles on the front of your thighs, pushing your heels towards the back of the room. When you're ready, you rest. When you've rested, you may choose to work again. You may choose just to rest entirely. This is your time, and the decision is yours. About another 30 seconds to go through these motions as you choose to do so. And we'll come back to our full resting position in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Again, your choice to either rest full belly on the ground, arms overhead to the side, resting behind you, or back to that childlike pose. How does your breath feel now that there's some heat in your body? Does it move differently? Is controlling that breath any different? Can you add a little bit of time to your inhale? Can you add just a touch of time to your exhale? If you were able to do that, does it feel okay if you add a little bit more time to your inhale? Does it feel okay if you add a little bit more time to your exhale? If it doesn't feel okay, don't do it. When you're ready, move yourself up to a comfortable seated position. It may be more comfortable to sit with your hip joints slightly above your knee joints. A folded blanket or a low couch cushion or a pillow can be really helpful to take the pressure off of your lower back. It may feel comfortable to have something supporting your knees on either side. For this next motion, we'll leave one knee tucked in and bring the flat of that foot against the other thigh. Extend either right or left, it doesn't really matter. Out maybe just to 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock, depending which side you're on. I invite you to inhale up and find the most length in your spine that you can find before even thinking about moving forward. Inhale, and then exhale. And brace your hands on your thigh, on your shin, on your ankle. You may be able to grab your toes. Whatever feels okay. We'll be here for a short while. I invite you on your inhale to lengthen your spine. On your exhale, see if there's any more stretch to be done. And there may not be. When you're ready, sit up, come back to center. We'll switch our leg positions out. Bring the opposite foot to the opposite thigh. And this may feel very different from side to side. For me, I know it does. Something that's accessible on one side is very often not accessible on the other. And sometimes something that's accessible in one day isn't accessible the next. Again, inhale, arms overhead, finding our length. Exhale, bringing your belly. And then your chest, and then your head down. Supporting yourself in whatever way feels most comfortable in the moment. On an inhale, rise up. Exhale, bring your hands back to your lap. We'll find two very gentle back bends. The first, just bring your arms up like goalposts or cactus arms, cacti. On an inhale, bring your gaze to the ceiling, elbows as if they could meet behind your back. See if you can find space in your heart center. You're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And next, if this is accessible to you, and if not, sometimes just repeating those cactus arms is a really nice option as well. Interlace your hands behind your back. Grab elbows if you can. Sometimes just a shirt can be helpful. Find space in the heart center. Bring your gaze to the ceiling. Notice how this feels. What are your toes doing right now? We haven't talked about our toes in a second. Bring your attention back to your toes. What are your knees doing? What's your spine doing? Your shoulders? Your jaw clenched? Can you wiggle your fingertips? You're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax, shake it out. Let's see. We'll move into our final resting position. So we'll be here for a little while. So those props that we use to support ourselves in the seated position may come in handy. If you need something underneath your neck, if you need something underneath your upper leg, it may take some pressure off your lower leg. You can rest on your back. You can rest on your side. You can rest on your belly. If it's more comfortable for you to sit or kneel, find yourself in a final resting posture, pose you can be comfortable in for a few minutes. This may be the time that you would want an extra layer of clothing or a blanket accessible. Once you've found the position that gives you the most ease, bring your attention to your toes, to your heels, to your shins, to your calves, to your knees, to your upper legs, to the base of your spine, to your belly, to your ribs, to your shoulders, to your elbows, to your wrists, to your fingers, to the base of your skull, to your jaw, to the crown of your head. And finally, bring your attention to your breath. How does your breath move your body as it enters and as it leaves? How does your body move your breath? Over these last few minutes, I invite you to, again, bring your attention to your breath. As it wanders away, bring it gently back. I'll let you know when there's about 20 seconds left. And until then, just rest and watch your breath. Begin to bring your awareness back to the space that you occupy. Come back to the sounds in the room around you. I invite you to start to bring movement back to your toes, to your fingers. Explore moving your limbs. Perhaps roll to one side if you're not already there. And in your own time, bring yourself up to a seated position. Your eyes may be open or closed. I invite you to take the final 3 breaths to close our practice today. If your eyes aren't already open, I invite you to open them. And I want to extend my gratitude to all of you for attending this class. My hope is that we'll continue to do this in the future and to continue to build our veterinary community. So I'm going to stick around for a couple minutes if anybody has questions, comments, feedback. I'm going to really, really appreciate that. So thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate your feedback. We're about 2 seconds from ending, so thank you.